Welcome, everyone. My guest today is Shaleen Khatod, Senior Vice President of Real Estate Strategy, Products, and Innovation at CoreLogic, to talk about the role of AI in real estate and how that stands not just for artificial intelligence, but agent intelligence. Shaleen, welcome to the podcast.
Sarah, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited to get to have this conversation about AI. You know, this is a huge topic I'm very interested in. We know that the industry is very interested in this, so I'm excited to be talking to an expert today. So with that said, let's kind of define some things, because AI is a very broad term. It can mean different things to different people. So how does CoreLogic define AI in the context of real estate?
When a lot of times people bring up the term AI, the vision that most human beings have is we start thinking about AI as depicted in Hollywood movies and how it's a science experiment, gone wrong and computers taking over the world. And I think for us, practically speaking, at CoreLogic, we look at it very differently, where for me, personally, AI starts with agent intelligence. And it's really CoreLogic's mission as we empower our 1.5 million or so property professionals on how we can help them with tools and technology to unlock that agent intelligence.
That is really interesting and maybe different than the way that other people have defined it or see it. So I'm glad you kind of walked us through that. Would love to dive in a little bit deeper because, first of all, glad we're not going to see an AI science experiment like the movies. Let's not do that. Let's just say
Yes.
no. But also, I think that at its heart, the reason that some people fear AI, especially in our industry, is they're like, is it just going to take all the jobs? And I feel like your focus here is not on that, but just really helping the agent. So let's talk a little bit about that, and what do you mean, and how does AI help agents excel in the human parts of their work?
Yeah, look, I think that when you think about a job or any role, right, it's composed of various tasks. And some of those are research oriented, some of those are workflow oriented. And the way that, we think about it is underneath that job, there's a set of tasks that really should be automated or streamlined that we as human beings are spending a lot of time doing that you can do a much more efficient job at using technology that's powered by AI or machine learning, which frees you up to be able to do the things that you're really good at. So when I apply that construct to what a real estate agent does, and I've worked with many, many real estate agents, both through personal transactions as well as I get to meet very many of them in the industry that we serve. What we find out is when they're doing remedial tasks like being able to clean up their databases or being able to, start crafting emails and communication out to the leads that they're getting, or really being able to fill out forms or type things. For us, a lot of those tasks that lie underneath that job can be streamlined and automated by AI. And what that does is if our vision is we can take those 80% remedial tasks that are taking up the agent's time and freeing the agent up. So instead of just having that 20% left where they're connecting with their home buyers to be able to get them into homes, and we free that part up to let them be human, to encourage the dream of, home buying, and to really be able to sometimes be a therapist between, a couple that's buying a home. That then to me is success, because the agent can provide their unique value proposition and the human element and insert that back into the search rather than having to spend most of their time doing remedial tasks.
Well, let's get in the weeds a little bit, and maybe you can walk us through a practical example or two of how CoreLogic's AI technology is helping real estate agents do exactly that: improve productivity, streamline workflows. Where do you see that happening?
It starts with, at the heart of it, CoreLogic is a data and technology company. And if I look at sort of our broad aperture, what you find is CoreLogic collects data and has information on every single one of those 160 million plus properties in the US, and 50 years worth of history on most of them, right? So what that does is it creates this vast database of 4.5 billion records. And I love data and I love getting deep into it. But what happens is you need the right practical applications to be able to connect and curate that data. So I always start with where AI is being used by CoreLogic today is our ability to connect and curate those data sources. And I'm a big believer in that because fundamentally data is the ingredient that powers the real estate economy, right? So without the right data, without clean, accurate, precise data, you're not making actionable, intelligent decisions. So the first application of AI that we have is how do we create the best in class ingredients from a data perspective that power all the various tools, various workflows that agents use that are powered by CoreLogic. So application one for me is taking the AI and then parsing out noise, parsing out things that are inaccurate and imprecise on the data, and really creating the best quality ingredient that can be used for listings and for homes.
Is that something that you guys do for your clients, or is that something that clients do using your, I mean, of course you're helping them do that, but is that something you're doing on the front, on the back end to make sure that when they go to use your products, they can figure that out? Or what does that look like?
Yeah. You want the data and the ingredients to be plug and play. And so we have a team of more than 100 PhDs, people who are much smarter than I am, who are able to basically take the tools and technologies we have to be able to cleanse the data. Now, as an end user, we have clients who are large banks, lenders, servicers, large insurance companies, or even large brokerages who simply want the raw ingredients so they can create experiences on top. And then there are others who say, look, I am not interested in the raw materials. I want you to be able to provide experiences that I can personalize and I can provide to my clients. And so I would say we do a bit of both, since we serve such a vast kind of client across the ecosystem.
That makes a lot of sense. I think AI sometimes can feel abstract, right? Especially for
Yeah.
professionals looking for like hands-on benefits. And I think of real estate
Yeah.
professionals, especially being like, how is this helping me today, right? How
Yeah.
does this help me today? So
Yeah.
how does CoreLogic's AI technology directly support agents in tasks like matching clients with homes or managing their listings more effectively?
Yeah. Let me maybe give two practical examples, right? So, as I mentioned, between myself, friends, and family, we've had multiple real estate transactions. And what's interesting for me is every journey starts with that dream of home buying, right? Nobody ever says, hey, this is a nightmare of home buying. It starts with a dream of home buying. And you approach it with a sense of positivity and optimism where, right, as human beings, we love this concept of having choices and being able to find things that match what we try and do. But pretty soon, just given the vast amount of information that's on the internet, it actually discourages people and you start to lose faith in the process. And I think the two areas where, practical applications of the things I'm talking about, the first one is really around creating a more personalized search experience. And I think of search as not just something that people do by saying 4 bedrooms and 4 baths and some price lever, but imagine a scenario in a world where you're searching with any channel that you have available to you as a human being. So you're talking to as your agent, an assistant, where you're describing the kinds of things you're looking for, and that behind the scenes gets translated from an unstructured ask to a structured data set, and it's able to put out for you what are the kinds of things that you're interested in based on a simple conversation. Another way that we search is we're very visuals, right? Human beings love looking at things. So if, my wife is on Pinterest quite often and imagining how those things can apply in the home. And so this idea of being able to search visually, whether you like things such as, red doors. So being able to, scan a picture of something that you really love and imagine being able to very quickly search through all the listings on your MLS or your search platform and being able to see listings that are very closely aligned to what you like. Or perhaps quartz kitchen countertop is important to you, or an open floor plan. So these concepts, being able to search in an audible way, being able to search in a visual way, being able to have a conversational search, all of this can help create a very personalized experience. And it taps into your imagination because there are things you may have never thought of that you would have enjoyed in your backyard. But suddenly, as you're being able to look at these listings that are being presented to you in a highly visual and an audible way, you're able to make decisions a lot faster than if you were just using traditional search.
I also think it bridges that gap where if I was talking to you as a person and I'm like, hey, go look for this for me,
Yeah.
saying to you an open floor plan, you and I both know what that is. But to be able to tell, to do that in search and have it understand what that means, because that's not like
Yeah.
how many bedrooms or how many square feet, it's something different. And so it just shows you the level we've gotten to where you can get to that sort of personalization.
Very, very true. And look, one of the things that I find quirky is people still typing information. And I'll give an example of that. We were, I have two young kids and we were looking for a school for my son. And as we were looking at the computer labs, like I'm a techie, so I love going in and figuring out what are the kinds of things they're going to learn. And I realized that in this particular school, there were no keyboards. And so I asked the teacher, I said, I'm sorry, there's a data entry piece missing here. Where are the keyboards? And she looks at me and she said, Mr. Khatod, do you think as your son grows up, he'll ever have to type anything? And it made me think, right? Because at the end of the day, people are interacting with computers using their audible devices, or they're swiping, or they're effectively choosing and picking and clicking. None of that involves typing. So if in today's day and age, people are still typing long forms or search things or other criteria, we should really be providing them a more 21st century experience.
Ooh, that is crazy to think about. When I had our AI summit, someone on stage was talking about how this generation is the first, they are AI native. We talk about like digital natives, they're going to be AI native.
Yes.
And what does that look like?
Exactly. Right. And it doesn't have to happen overnight, but even as we think about, my generation, other generations, this idea of being able to consume things very quickly, getting that immediate gratification is also an important piece of this journey, right? So I'll give an example where so many times, people are looking at listings and they realize, oh, there's something missing. I want a floor plan, or I want to be able to see property lines, or I want to be able to have a video that's generated for me. And I don't want to wait 24 hours or 48 hours or 7 to 14 business days for that to happen. I want it now because I'm in the listing now. And so that's another practical application of something that we're building from an agent listing toolkit perspective that allows, if there's, floor plans or property lines or, audio visual media, rich media that's missing from listing, that can be done as effectively as real time simply by using your phone. And, I have a team that's does a lot of demos around these scenarios. But this is something that's not, 3 to 5 years out. This is something that agents, home buyers are asking for now. So if there's things that are missing in listings, they want there to be a very quick, immediate fix for those missing elements. And I think we can do that real time very quickly.
Well, and if you think about the agents who have that kind of capability versus the search experience for someone who doesn't, I mean, it's a pretty big advantage because people are going to be able to find what they want, and it's just going to be a
That's
seamless
right.
experience.
That's absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a collaboration experience, right? This doesn't involve somebody just sort of sitting at their computer individually and searching. I think as human beings, again, as I said, we start this with the dream of homeownership, this journey for it to be imaginative and fun. And I think behind the scenes, what can make this imaginative and fun is the idea that you're able to search in the way that you want, so that's personalized, but that you're also able to expand your imagination. So I talked about that a little bit earlier, and I want to just press on that a bit more where, a lot of times people see how a particular listing or house is staged or laid out, but that doesn't pique their imagination or their curiosity into what it could be. And that's where a lot of Gen AI tools come in, where imagine a scenario where, as you're looking at a listing and you say, look, I'm a big holiday person. Like personally, I grew up in the Northeast. I'm a big fan of the Christmas holidays or Thanksgiving, people getting together. Imagine if you're able to see the photo of a dining room, and then you click a button that says, what could this look like during Thanksgiving? And there's a stage table that sort of has that meal set up, and you're imagining your family there. Or if you see a living room that has a fireplace, but you're sort of looking at it, it's a cold view of a fireplace. But imagine if you could run a real-time scenario that says now, apply a Christmas theme on this. So I want to be able to see what this could look like in the holidays with a Christmas tree in the corner and, sort of warmth around the fireplace. So these are the kinds of things that allow people to continue to imagine as they start the journey and really help the agent effectively for them to close a transaction faster because you match something with that consumer.
Shaleen, you are describing something that would just take up even more of my Friday nights. If I can go in and be like, wait, now do this, now do this theme. And that
Yes.
would be even more fun. And I think we know that real estate agents know what the difference is between staging a house and not staging a house. It's
Yeah.
huge because there are definitely people who have that talent to look at something and see what it could be. Most people don't, unless they have some background in it. They just see
Yeah.
an empty room, and it
That's right.
doesn't have that emotional appeal. And I feel like what's so interesting about what you're talking about with imagination is it's really talking to us as people. So it's ironic that we're talking about this technology, this artificial intelligence, but really what we're talking about is reaching the emotional part that every person has when it comes to their house.
Look, I couldn't agree more, Sarah. I think what fascinates me and why, I do what I do is because to me, the power of AI can actually help elevate the human imagination. And I know that sounds completely counterintuitive, but the idea is we're built to be curious, imaginative beings. Sometimes we think a lot faster than the reality can actually show us. And I think that's where the power of computing combined with the power of the raw ingredients, the data, can create an imaginative scenario for us that as the agents are, creating this personalized experience for the home buyer, and the home buyer is letting their imagination really be able to, narrow down the different options. That helps both parties get into a collaboration modality that's a lot better than them doing it individually.
Ah, yes. Okay, so that's the warm fuzzy part, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And I don't think is talked about enough because I don't know that, a lot of companies have figured out how to take this technology and get it to be that part that's really actually fun. I mean, I don't know that a lot of people are like AI fun. I don't know, or AI, your imagination. Like I just feel like this is untapped. But there is this other side, and that's, a discussion about ethical and responsible AI.
Yeah.
So how does CoreLogic ensure that its AI solutions are, so here's some of the buzzwords for that is beneficial, transparent, and supportive for
Yeah.
agents?
These are table stakes for us. I mean, I describe CoreLogic as, yes, we are able to provide these tools and technologies, but it all starts with making sure that the things we do are both responsible, practical, and secure. And so the two places where we actually use AI in a practical application is I talked about data as being having the best ingredients. So the ability for us not to just expose our data in a way that allows other large language models to be built based on that data, I think is incredibly important. So we keep the data in what we call a smart data platform. It's our data lake, and it powers the CoreLogic solutions in a responsible, practical way. We are very clear about the rules and the governance around which data sets mean what restrictions do they have, and what that can be used for. So that's part one of it, which is how are you able to have the right governance around responsible uses of our data for creating these experiences. The second one is around security. And I think security is one of those things that's non-negotiable, right? You want to be able to use the right security, the right privileges on who has access to which applications, who has access to which workflows. What you don't want is, the new ChatGPT version 5, when it's coming up, to be trained on all data sets that are actually behind closed firewalls. And so we are very cautious, and I would say conservative in that matter, to be able to use both security and data applications in a way that creates for responsible and practical use of AI.
I also think, the long experience history of CoreLogic and handling data, handling solutions, handling personal information, all of those things. I mean, all of that comes into play with this. It's not like it is a different technology, but it's not like a different framework.
That's exactly it. I mean, in the span that you and I are talking on this podcast, CoreLogic would have processed thousands of documents with, thousands of fields, right? Tens of thousands of fields. And so this idea that we want to be able to do in a way that's fast and efficient, but more importantly, it's producing your outputs in a way that are both actionable, but also responsible is an incredible important tenet for us.
Well, let's look ahead, right? We're almost at
Yeah.
the end of the year. Looking ahead, what are some exciting AI developments that CoreLogic is working on? And how do you
Yeah.
envision these shaping the future of real estate for agents and their clients?
Look, this is a bit of my favorite part, right? Because I talked a lot about imagination and where things that could go, and there's some things that we are absolutely indexed on, and so I'll share a little bit about what we're doing. The first thing is around, continuing to promote this idea of the dream of home buying, right? It's about collaboration. So we're going to continue investing in tools and technology that help the home buying process. And there's a lot to come on that front. But one of the other things that I'm really interested in, and we're now developing really effective solutions around, is when you start to think beyond just home buying, like beyond the transaction, right? You have about 5% of the population in the US that's buying or selling homes. But what we forget is there's 95% of people who are not transacting. But that doesn't mean they're not doing anything, right? They are largely underserved. They are building wealth in their homes. They are fixing things that are breaking. They're renovating. They're imagining in a different way, right? And in better times, they're refinancing. They're getting loans. They're renewing their insurance. So they're living in their homes. And there's very few things that are actually created to be able to help promote not just the home buying experience, but the home management experience. And I love that because we are heavily investing in helping those that are in homes so that they are empowered to be able to live their lives, to be able to grow the wealth in their homes, to be able to save money. As you and I, being homeowners, there's times where there's always a drawer that contains all kinds of flyers, right? All the crap that I get from people about fixing things sort of goes in that drawer, and there's a warranty drawer, and there's just stuff that's there. And we're digitizing all of that, and we're being able to really create a digital key for your home that really, most importantly, continues to stay connected to the real estate professional. And whether that professional is an agent or a loan officer or somebody else in that housing ecosystem, but our ability to help promote not just the home buying process, but the homeowner process, and connecting that to the property professional, even beyond the transaction, is something that we are effectively investing in, and something that I'm looking forward to for 2025.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I mean, if you can tell an agent, listen, you can keep up with this buyer in this way, and the buyer themselves, once they become the homeowner, they're interacting with you constantly. Like you said, I bought my house this year, but I'm already, now I don't go look at houses. I'm like, how do I get this up? How do I do that? And so I think
That's right.
that's the long game, and that's
That's right.
the real value that they can bring past the transaction. So.
Yeah. And I think CoreLogic, really our focus is that long game. We have a lot of people who talk about this idea of consumer for life. But ultimately, how do you create that? And that starts by a property professional being able to offer some unique value proposition to that homeowner. And so it's not always, hey, I'm going to wait 5 years till you have a life event, and then I'm going to call you and see how I can help. But find a way to stay connected. And with the right tools powered by AI, you're actually able to create a relationship that, continues beyond the transaction. And that's something that we're heavily invested in.
Well, and I think that's the key. That's what everybody's trying to figure out, right? So what a great thing to be involved in.
Yeah.
Shaleen, thank you so much for being on. It's been really interesting. I learned a
Yeah.
lot, as I always do, from you guys, and I just really appreciate you talking to our audience about this.
Look, I'm super excited because to me, being able to connect the human element to the right tools and technology powered by AI is ultimately our goal. And so, as we continue to do that and bring these solutions to market, thank you for partnering with us and helping us share that with your listeners.
Absolutely, and we will be, checking back shortly. But thanks so much, Shaleen. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you.